Здравствуйте. Буду сегодня тайбрейки. Тайбрейки, матчи, которые там играли. Накамура сам и Арунян с Домидис. Hello. So today I will explain matches. As everybody knows, Nakamura won against Rapport and Aronia won against Domidis. Both matches ended with score 1.5 point. So, problem with sound. Я Иванович, я Михайлович, если вы не знаете. Василий Иванович — это Чапаев, самый знаменитый, может, кто-то еще был. Okay, someone can hear me, or is there a problem with sound? Can somebody confirm that? Sounds is fragmented. Ничего страшного. Sound is fragmented. Okay, what sound is breaking? Now it's okay. So now it's okay. So I will wait probably. Now it's okay. Good. So became normal. Good. Thank you. Спасибо. Okay, so how Nakamura won? In first game, Nakamura was white, and Aronian also was white in first game, but firstly we will consider two games between Rapport and Nakamura, and then I will annotate Aronian Dominguez match. So d4, knight f6, c4, e6, knight c3, d5. So Queen's Gambit, and black allows Carlsbad structure. So usually if black doesn't want to see this position on the board, they can choose, and they want to play Queen's Gambit, of course, they can choose another move order, d4, d5, I mean, c4, e6, and if knight c3, bishop e7. Now cd, ed is possible, but bishop cannot go to g5. Bishop can go to f4, and this is completely different variations. For example, c6, e3, bishop f5, and now white has two promising moves, g4 or knight g2. g4 was favorite choice of Mikhail Botvinnik. Okay, but in the game knight f6, c4, e6. Okay, if black doesn't want to play Carlsbad structure, they can do something else. So c5, this is Benoni after d5, or English opening after this. After d5, it's modern Benoni. What else? Bishop b4 is Nimzo Indian defense, and also knight c6 is quite funny move here. It's possible if knight f3, for example, bishop b4, queen c2, d6. One of variation of Nimzo Indian. If e4, black has bishop b4 with an interesting play. Now f3, for example, is possible. d5, e5, knight g8. Something like this. Okay, but how I am today? I am fine, thank you. So I am in good mood. So yesterday I played in Chess.com, first tournament of Chess.com Championship Series. I finished it with only +1, 17th place. But okay, I took a lot of pleasure from the game, so I will continue. So next Saturday I am planning to play again there. So d5, takes, bishop g5, c6, queen c2. Played Nakamura, so queen c2 is also Garry Kasparov played against me. What is idea? If e3 natural move, black can play. No, now I consider game from yesterday. Game from today, Nakamura played with black and made draw and won the match. So, and yesterday Nakamura won with white against Rapport, and Aronian. Thank you. And Aronian won also with white against Dominguez yesterday. Today, leaders both drawn with black and qualified to the final match. So tomorrow will start final match between Aronian and Dominguez. Yes, queen c2 to stop bishop f5. After e3, bishop f5 is possible, queen f3, bishop g6, and this endgame appears. Many games, so knight f3, knight d7, knight h4 is main theory, by the way, and now bishop e7 main move, knight e2, Carlsen Kramnik, and many other games. If Aronian wins, I don't know, because it's only tomorrow is rest day. Thank you. In Tuesday. Okay. So, okay. Thanks for information. So this endgame was played many times. Queen c2. It's also possible idea. And the Rapport played very solid. Bishop e7. There are other options. For example, h6 is possible. And now bishop h4 takes on f6. It's not logical because after queen takes f6, knight takes d5. It's harmless for black because queen takes d4 and white has nothing. Obviously, knight c7, king d8, knight takes a8, bishop b4 is just losing, and if start with rook d1, black have bishop b4 and no problem at all. So after h6, normal reaction of white is bishop h4, and now g6 is quite possible and quite popular line now with idea to prepare bishop f5. And many games was played. So, for example, this it's possible, but black has quite serious compensation for the pawn because king on d1. No, I am not planning in Grand Prix, but I will play in the next step of Chess.com tournament in next Saturday. Well, so h6 and g6 is possible, and another very interesting line here is knight a6, which I played against Kasparov, for example, with black. And what is idea? So black obviously wants to play knight b4 and disturb white queen. If white just playing a3, prophylactic move, black has planned knight c7, e3, bishop e7, for example, bishop d3, knight e6, bishop h4, g6, for example, knight f3, knight g7, and next move bishop f5, and after exchange of these bishops, black can equalize game quite easily. There are 3 legs and players can play 2 of them. The 2 players, that makes qualified. Do you like? Okay, for me it doesn't matter because I am not player, so it's the most important if participants likes this format or not. I hope they like it. So this is possible if a3. If white is ignoring this threat, e3, It's very as spectator. Okay, it's quite good. Black. Okay, now black can play knight c7 as well, but if play knight c7, of course, white will not need to play a3 anymore. So they can play, for example, bishop d3, knight e6, bishop h4, bishop e7, knight f3, g6, and if black will try to play same plan, white has time to h3, g4. Now, h5 is risky because of bishop takes g6 somewhere. And now bishop f5, it's stopped in the moment, and white can play long castle and in next move and try to organize some attack in future. So knight b4 is principal, and I played this against Kasparov, and also against g6 instead of bishop e7. Here g6. Here it's not a good idea because white can play no e4 d takes e4 e3. It's just good, and now white has threat. So for example h6 now is bad because after takes and takes, pawn d4 is protected and white is just pawn up, and after bishop f5 there is problem with queen b3. So it's important difference. Because of this, black playing firstly h6. Because if now e3, bishop f5, queen b3, black has g5. This is important difference. Oh, queen b6 was impossible because queen takes b7. It's bad because g takes h4, queen takes a8, queen b6, and it's very bad for white because they have problem with queen, with king, with pawn on b2. So this is idea. But if play this without h6, it's a problem because now h6 not possible. Here black has no g5 idea, and after knight bd7, queen takes b7. Now objectively compensation is not enough. Rook b8 and rook takes b2 is possible to try, but bishop b5 is coming, for example. I mean this. So it looks like very dubious for black at least. But okay, bishop b4, knight g2, and then castle. b5, okay, b5 it's anti-positional move because pawn c6 will be weak for forever. So knight f3 and then bishop e2, castle, rook fc1, something like this. Okay, so interesting variation can appear after c6, queen c2, knight a6, e3, knight b4. So queen is attacked, and white obviously need to go somewhere. But if, for example, queen d1, queen d2, black can simply play bishop f5 with obvious threat, knight c2 check, rook c1, and a5. White has a strong positional threat, a3 and knight and take on a6. So a5, and if a3, knight a6, and this position it's totally playable for black because they solved successfully problem of bishop c8. So then bishop e7, castle, playable position. So after knight b4, white has some other opportunities. For example, queen b1 with idea a3. Now a5, a3, knight a6, bishop d3, obviously good for white. But after queen b1, the problem is g6, and black is quite good. A3 doesn't work here because after bishop f5, e4, bishop takes e4, knight takes e4, d takes e4, ab, bishop takes b4. Black are piece down, but they will take at least 3 pawns, and there is strong attack against white king on the center. So if after g6, queen d1, black at the moment bishop f5 is not so good because rook c1, a5, a3 is threat, so a5, but now a3, queen b3, it's unpleasant. And black cannot defend pawn b7 with positionally good way. Okay, only b5, but after b5, even knight takes b5 necessary to be considered, and then bishop takes b5. But even without this, after knight f3, it's positionally dangerous. But okay, so after queen d1 in this position, black can just play immediately a5. Now pawn b7 is well protected, so a3, knight a6, bishop d3, knight c7, or bishop. If I publish my annotation, yes, all my annotation are published in Twitch and also in my YouTube canal. So after bishop d3, knight c7, or bishop e7 firstly, for example, knight c7, knight f3, or knight g2, bishop e7, the same ideas, knight e6, knight g7, bishop f5 in future, so it's playable position. And the most interesting line after knight b4 probably is queen d1. Because now, after a5, a3, bishop d3, it's more pleasant position for white. Also, of course, black can play bishop e7 or knight c7. So it's, but problem with bishop on c8, it's not solved yet. So after queen d1, bishop f5 is principal, but rook c1. And now after a5, black has problem with this, and this. And again, not possible. What is my YouTuber canal? Okay, what is my YouTuber canal? So Ivanchuk Chess, you can try to search Ivanchuk Chess. So I think you will find. Okay, probably after finished stream, I will write name of my YouTube canal. Okay, so after queen b3, black has problem with pawn on b7, so there is no way to defend it good. But after rook c1, interesting is queen a5. It's much more sharp. So bishop takes f6, g takes f6, and now pawn a2 is hanging. Of course, white can defend this pawn, but after queen b3, castle, black has strong contraplay because they are ready to play knight d3 or rook. Okay, thanks for subscription. Knight d3 or rook g8. So okay, king d2 is possible, but it's a double-edged game. It's very similar was in my game against Morozevich from different move order. So it was this slide d4, d5. Yes, after a3, knight a2, correctly. So it was this line. So I recommend to see my game against Morozevich. So cd, ed, something like this. Queen b3, knight c6, bishop g5, knight. Okay, I don't remember. Knight a5 he played, because if knight b4, rook c1 now. So knight a5, queen a4, c6, bishop takes f6, g takes f6. It's a similar type of position, and it was my game against Morozevich. I won after interesting fight. Okay, so let's come back. What I am explaining. Any student in my town? No. No, in Lviv I don't have any students now, but okay, it's not something like principal positions. So just at the moment I don't have. So okay, I will come back to my explanation of this opening. So e3 I'm explaining. Knight b4. So some studios. Which studios you mean? Like mate in 3 or what? Or white twins or white to move and draw, something like this. What end games? Okay, not today, because today I want to annotate. Maybe I will prepare another video about end games. It's totally possible, or about studios like Mate in 4. Mate in 3. Okay, so but I wanted to show this line. So queen a5, this, and now knight takes a2 is threat. a3 is obviously bad because knight a2 is coming. So queen b3, I explain what is this. Sorry. Bishop f1. Rook c1, queen a5, bishop f6, g f6, queen d2. So queen d2 is principal reaction for white. Checkers combination. Okay, I can show you many checkers combination, but not today. So queen d2 is main line, and now knight takes a2. It's forced, because if not play knight takes e2, white will just play a3, and will be obviously better because of pawn structure. So knight takes a2, rook a1, knight takes c3, this is idea. Rook takes a5, knight e4. And now if to move with queen, black has bishop bishop b4 check, and bishop takes a5. And very tricky position with more or less equal material. So rook takes d5 is another option if white wants to avoid this. So rook takes d5, knight takes d2, rook takes f5, bishop b4, king e2. But this is sharp position, and black has strong contraplay after a5, for example. It was my game against the Israeli grandmaster Baron Tal, and ended with draw. So this is theory of knight a6, but okay. So I explain it here that h6 and g6 is possible. Okay, I wish you pleasant evening as well. So h6 and g6 is possible, knight a6 is possible, but Rapport played solid. Bishop e7, it's also possible choice. Knight bd7, bishop d3, knight h5. Okay, knight h5, it's not only move. Black can just play castle and then rook e8, knight f8, standard plans. And white has many ideas, so it's possible. Knight g2 is, and prepare f3, e4, and also knight g2 is possible with plan h3 and long castle, and then g4, how, for example, Jan Timman won against Anatoly Karpov, and other plans are with knight f3, rook e8, and now castle is possible, or h3 is possible, knight f8, bishop f4, flexible plan. Now, idea if bishop d6 is positional blunder here, or after knight g6 and bishop h2, bishop d6, because after takes, castle, without dark color bishop, black has no serious contraplay in queen side, and for white more easy to attack. And if black plays c5, d takes c, now also knight b5 is possible, but in general after c5, d takes c5, queen takes c5, black will have problem with his isolated pawn, and never. Knight e2, castle. Okay, f3, e4, usually white is playing with short castle. So, for example, this, and now f3. With long castle, usually white prefers h3, g4. So f3, for example, knight g6, e4, takes, bishop e6, many games was played. Okay, but knight h5, it's another line. Takes, castle long. Of course, knight f3 now it's not the best move, because knight f4 is coming and white has nothing better than play bishop f1. So knight g2 is possible, and after knight g2, white has this plan, for example, g6, castle, rook a e1, and next white moves will be knight c1, knight b3, f3, e4, something like this. It's many games was played with this plan, but Nakamura chose it long castle. Knight b6. Also g6 is possible immediately. I don't know what is stronger, but knight b6 played. Now h3, prophylactic move, because if start with knight f3, black can consider bishop g4 and then take on f3, so h3 is logical. Of course, this position was played many times. Why g6? Okay, it's possible to play h6, also possible to play h6 before. I mean, in this position, it's possible to play this. Knight g2 more or less. Knight g2 all on castle, so it's just another variation. g6 idea that black somewhere wants knight g7, bishop f5. If white will not prevent this, so and if black will exchange this bishop, so it's will be not difficult for black to equalize the game. But of course, knight f3, knight g7, g4. So this is not attacking move, but this is just prophylactic against bishop f5. Bishop e6. And usually in such type of position, white... okay, but in future, yes, it's possible, knight e5, f4, but immediately here, main point of g4 is to prevent bishop f5, because, for example, after king b1, bishop f5, black has no problem at all. So g4 is prophylactic move. But knight e2 is not a standard. So standard plan in this time, f5, okay, f5, it's possible, but knight can go to e5, and this looks like very risky for black positionally. So usually strong players not playing f5. So if knight on e2, somewhere it's possible to consider. But if knight on f3 and e5 square is not protected, I don't think that this is a good idea. So bishop e6, and now knight e2. Knight e2 is not such standard move, because more standard plan in this type of position to play king b1, for example, castle, rook c1, and in some moment knight a4, takes, for example, something like this, and idea of white rook c3, rook a3 to organize attack. So knight a2, it's different plan somehow. Castle, king b1, king b8, rook c1. Knight e8. I don't know what is reason of knight e8. More natural for me seems to play f6 to prepare bishop f7, knight e6, something like this. And also probably in some moment black can think about h5, but okay, not immediately, of course, because knight f4 is coming. So f6, okay, next move bishop f7, okay, and see what white will do. So it looks natural. Knight, okay, knight e8, knight d6 is possible plan, but also maybe e6 square not so bad for knight, especially if white wants, if white played knight e2, so it looks like white wants to put knight on f4, so for black can be good idea to play knight e6 in future, exchange knights, or even after knight f4, for example, for example, white is doing something. Black can consider even g5, and knight goes come back, and h5, and try to attack g4 pawn. And now advantage of knight on g7 that f5 square is weak, but knight trying to defend this. And other knight can be transferred to d6 from b6 via c4 or via c8 even. Depends of position. So f6, it's I like this move in this position. Knight e8, it's less clear for me, but okay, we'll see. So knight f4. So now g5, it's hardly possible because knight takes e6, f takes e6, h4, f6. Okay, possible, but white can even think about knight takes e6. So knight d6, a4. So Nakamura immediately starts original attack in queen's flanks. So we will try to understand what is the point. So knight c4, a5. So he is just giving the pawn. And what is idea? Okay, so black played queen b4. Another option is knight takes a5. I suppose that queen c5 was idea of Nakamura. Black should take, no choice. D takes c5, and black has obvious problem with his knight on a5. So knight will go somewhere. For example, knight c4, knight d4, and b4 is very unpleasant threat. So something like this. So knight from a5. Okay, maybe this is possible, but bishop e2, so it's dangerous. f6, rook g1, unpleasant, but why it is so unpleasant for me? So, if you want to play g5 or what? Okay, for example, bishop f7. Because after g5 I can play bishop e6. Not only attack pawn h3, but with idea bishop f5. Also after g5, okay, many moves is possible. Somewhere rook f8, I will attack f2 pawn maybe. Okay, it's a complicated position. Of course, nothing but h4. Yes, it's possible, of course. But what is white next move? For example, rook f8. Okay, it's complicated position, of course. Rich position, there are different plans, but okay, we'll see. So knight takes a5 is dangerous because queen c5. So queen b4 played rapport, queen c3. Queen takes a5, takes. So black won the pawn, but knight g5 is coming. So white has unpleasant threats on another flank, and black should play very carefully. For example, it's not possible to defend position primitively. For example, if just play rook d8, white can take here, and after bishop takes g6. Materially, black is okay, but passed pawn, g and h are extremely dangerous. So after knight g5, rapport played knight df8, but I don't know if it is best decision. Probably rook d7 was logical choice. Immediately give pawn back and try to improve his knight. For example, after knight e6, f takes e6, knight takes e6, rook e7, for example. And then knight goes somewhere, knight c4, or rook f8, also possible. So maybe rook d7 here was more practical choice for black. Give pawn back immediately and try to defend this endgame. I don't think that white has serious advantage here. Okay, some initiative, of course. Probably also it's not necessary to take on e6 immediately. Maybe white has different plans, something like rook dg1 and then h4, h5. Yes, maybe this was something which worried Richard during the game. But, okay, so what else? Okay, rook c8 is possible with same idea. And also, okay, but after rook c8, also maybe white can consider this plan and then h4, h5. But here rook are connected, so probably more easy to defend for black. Also, how to play, I'm not sure. So very interesting idea. a4, a5, give the pawn and immediately start attack in king's flank. So king c2, okay, knight c4, knight d6, knight a c4, knight d6, black wants anyway, so white wants to utilize black knights so far from king's flank and create attack. So rook df8 he played, but now bishop takes g6, and it looks very unpleasant because same problem. If h takes g6, white is taken here and taken here, and white is much better because very strong pawns h3 and g4. So knight b3 played rapport. This rook f2 is possible, but after rook takes f2, looks like the most natural move for black, of course. Yes, knight c4, d2, f3, somewhere it's possible. Okay, but now I think rook c2 and... But okay, rook f3, for example. Of course, white has dangerous pawns, but some contraplay. Black wants to take on e3. If rook e2, knight c4. King a2, I will just... king a2 may be possible. If rook takes, to play rook c3, something like this. Because after exchange of rooks, pawn d4 will be well protected, and white will play h4, h5, and try to... So, rook c2, rook f3, king a2, yes, probably. Something like this was idea of Nakamura. Rook fg8 played rapport. Bishop d3, so he won exchange, but okay, there are no active lines for black rooks, and white pawns are extremely dangerous. G7, f7. So black already take on f6, and material will be equal, but of course black has very big problem with h pawn. White is clearly better here, and black king is very far from main fighting territory, so much better to have king on e7. Okay, bishop e2 is also possible now, but Nakamura prefers to improve his king. Rook h3. So white is fighting for g5 square, so rook f3 check, and king g5 is plans. Let's say black trying to defend, but bishop g6 and king g5. So of course it's easy to evaluate this position like very bad for black, because the white pieces are much more active. a5, rook f4. Rook f4 is, white just want to play f3, e4, e5, something like this. And black has no sinceres in queen's flank. So, for example, b5, f3, b4, e4, and then e5 is coming. Okay, it's possible. Rook f6 not possible, by the way, because knight e4. But for example, after this before, instead of e4, also rook f6 is possible. This idea just to take on e6 now. So this is even stronger than e4. Maybe e4 is strong as well, but I'm afraid a little bit about something like this. e5, a3 somewhere, a2 is coming. a3 doesn't work because it takes d and then rook f7, rook a7. So knight f5, for example, if bishop takes f5, but even now rook takes f5 is interesting idea, and e6, and probably this is winning. Yes, looks like white is just winning, because e7 and after rook h6, rook h8, h6. So this is illustration of white plan. Okay, so knight e4, but now black is pawn down, and white are much active. So black has no real chance to survive. b5. So Hikaru repeat moves to win some more time. King f5 looks like risky because white put king under the check, but hello. But after b4, b2, rook b6, black cannot defend against e7. King f6, e7, and black cannot move his pawns. If a3, for example, just rook takes b3, a2, rook a3. So black has no chances to survive here. White has too many passed pawns. So if rook takes e7, rook takes e4, and black cannot do anything against rook b4. So rook e2, and he resigns. So very nice only move. Okay, maybe only move. Maybe. Maybe king g5 also was possible, by the way. I don't know. Very likely that also. Some classical chess, I don't know, we'll see. Okay, so Nakamura won first game. Okay, what mistake? Okay, difficult to say what was a real mistake even. So maybe rook df8 was mistake, but it's complicated. So it's a great victory for Nakamura. And in second game, Rapport played with white and played knight f3, g3. So e6, Nakamura shows that he is ready to play classical Catalan. I mean, after d4, castle, c4, d takes c4. After rook g2 and b2, black is winning. Maybe. Rook b6, a3. Ah, okay, maybe you are right. So king f5, maybe. Okay, let's check. So it was here king g5, e6, b3, king g5, rook g2, and b2, yes, e7, rook g8. But I am not sure that black is winning here if I play check. If king h6, I have rook a8. So king h6 is forced and rook a8. Why is black winning here? Okay, but you told that black is here winning. So king takes h5. No, king takes h5. I can rook. Okay, maybe winning chances for black after king h5, but not sure that king takes h5. Okay, maybe king takes h5. It's good winning chances for black. Rook h8, rook g8, rook takes g2. Yes, queen e7. Okay, I'm not sure, maybe. But now, of course, only black can fight for win. Maybe I'm not sure it's winning, but maybe winning. Okay, so king f5. It's great. So it was important not allow to move with rook with check. So king f5, good, well calculated. Okay. So this line, it's Nakamura wanted to play after queen c2, a6, after a4, bishop d7, and go on. But d3 was choice of Rapport, so he wants to play King's Indian opening after e4. But now knight c6. Playable idea. Now e4 looks like logical move, and black can take a5, e5. For example, c3, a5, knight c4 is possible. It's only one of variation. Of course, e4 is logical. Black can play e5 immediately as well, of course, if they want. E takes d5, knight takes d5, rook e1, f6, something like this. So this, but okay, white can play c3, for example. Many moves is possible. But d4. So now Rapport wants to utilize disadvantage of knight c6. Now black cannot play c5 very quickly, but knight e4. So Stoneval system with extra tempo and with knight on c6. Knight on c6 is not so bad because black has plan f5, bishop f6, and then in future possible plan is bishop d7, bishop e8, bishop h5. So c3, f5, knight e1. Okay, maybe not necessary move, but what is alternate? Okay, c3 is not necessary. C4 it's c4, e3 it's another possible plan here. So c4 is possible, but okay, c3, f5, knight e1, e5. So this black looks quite strong in the center. E3, b6, rook e8. Of course, white can take on e5 and try to play b3 somehow. It looks like logical idea at least. Takes. It's maybe to play b3, and if knight takes c3, queen c2 for example, and then bishop b2 with compensation. e4 or d4, I don't remember. I have never checked statistic. Probably e4 I played more because in childhood e4 was my main move. So, but maybe not so big difference. So it's logical idea, but of course knight takes c3. It's not only move. Black can just play bishop a6 and. Probably white has no advantage here and plays some move. I don't know which one. Maybe c6, for example, is possible. Just idea to prepare against c4 and take on c4 and try to organize contraplay. But okay, so Rapport is not hurry, bishop a6. Anyway. So now white can do the same, takes on e5, everything, and play b3, bishop h3. It's strange move somehow. Okay, so idea it's provoke g6, and after g6 take everything on e5, and then b3, c4 to utilize this diagonal somehow. But okay, it's very deep idea, and Nakamura practically took on d3 and queen d7. So he's playing without g6 at all. And, all black position, all black pieces are in natural position. Okay, c4 is possible, but after c4, black can take on d4 and start to play against isolated pawn, or even g6 is possible now. Maybe. Also g6, d takes e5, knight takes e5, knight takes e5. Okay, maybe rook takes e5 is possible. g5 where? G5 here? No, g5, c takes d5. So black should protect. Okay, c4 is possible, but hardly white has any advantage. So rook d1, rook d8. So black pieces are better coordinated. That c4, knight takes f2. Interesting idea. May be good, but necessary to check queen b1, for example. If e takes f3, bishop takes f5, so then bishop takes h7 check. What is this? It's quite complicated, at least. So I think more practical decision for black to play g6 and to have very solid position. For example, after d takes, rook takes, f4, for example, rook e7. If white will take pawn d5, black immediately will attack and white has problem with development of rook a1 and bishop c1. So, but okay, rook d1, b4, okay, it looks strange somehow, but it's difficult to propose something better. Bishop e5, so now black has another strong square for his knight, I mean c4, so one knight on e4, another knight on c4, knight d4, queen h6. It's some tactical trick. So after bishop takes f5, knight takes f2, looks pretty unpleasant for white. After king f2, queen takes h2, queen f6, a4, takes c5. Everything under control. Black is very strong in the center, so two bishops is not so important in this position because black has no possibility to activate them. After g5 they agreed to draw. Okay, probably Rapport should play this, but only f3 and bishop f2, but black can go knight d6 and then after bishop f2 g4, so objectively black is better. But of course, in any moment Rapport could offer draw, so maybe because to offer draw now it means yes, maybe black is better, but okay, in practical games everything is possible. Okay, but so much is finished. Congratulations to Hikaru, and now we will consider Aronian against Lenier. So first game was very sharp opening, e4, a takes b5 played, also knight c3, it's very interesting line. I think it's logical to accept even in winning position. In knockout system, there is no reason to. Only rating, but it's not so important anymore. So another opportunity for white, instead of a, b, c, b, knight c3 immediately. And after b4, knight a2 is possible, which Kasparov played 2 times. And another interesting option is knight e2. It's favorite choice of Ukrainian Grandmaster Alexander Moiseyenko. And then white idea is knight f3, knight g3, and play on the center and king's flank. So a, b, c, b, knight d5. I explained it already. Bishop f4. So as I already explained it, after bishop g3, idea is knight f6. After check, king d8. So bishop b4 is threat. So after f3, check. After king f2, knight takes e4 and knight f6 with quite strong contraplay because black wants to take on e4 with check. So something like this. Surely bishop f4, it was preparation of Aronian. Knight f6 moves. So f3. So Aronian prepared to play this position. Okay, so it's difficult to say if white is really better or not here. So material more or less equal and very difficult to make evaluation of these positions. But okay, knight d5 is more or less natural move. Bishop d6, also natural. In g3, queen d8, rook e8. Queen b6, unfortunately, not possible for black because bishop a5. So in general, looks like black has totally enough compensation, but there are some tricks. So unusual king on d8, and probably this factor Aryan wants to utilize. Rook e8. I don't know if rook e8 is so necessary because in some variation pawn h7 can be attacked. So there are many alternatives. For example, knight b6 was possible. It's idea to prepare bishop e6, king d7, rook c8, something like this. But it's knight e4, in that case, maybe possible. E-action, and then take on d6 or play knight c5 somewhere. So rook e8, bishop e2. So white plan more or less clear. So they want to regroup his pieces. So rook e1 and then bishop f1 probably or something like this. And black has big choice, which it's not always advantage in practical games. If you have quite a big choice. So bishop c7. Not necessary move black can play. Knight b6, knight f8, bishop f4, so many moves it's possible to consider, but Dominions choose idea bishop b6. So looks also logical, he wants to attack the pawn, but just in time king g1. And now if take on d4, okay, it's not so quiet for king on d8 because after king h1 there is threat bishop a5 check, and at least not so easy for black to understand what to do. So Lanier decide to play knight e5, king h, knight c6. So he wants to take this knight, but now white g5, h5, okay, maybe, but in which moment exactly? G5, h5. After g5, here when rook, maybe now h5, okay, maybe, but after h5, knight e4, probably it's possible. So idea of rook e8 probably was against knight e4 because now bishop takes h2. After g3, rook takes e4 is possible. After h5, knight e4 is possible. I mean here, if you play h5, this, and now bishop takes h2, g3, nobody can take white knight. After knight c6, also h5, but after knight c6, b3 immediately was played. And now it's more or less clear that something dangerous for black, because after c3, bishop takes b5, and if not play c3, white is ready for b takes c4. So before black should play something else, but when exactly? Okay, from this moment, so okay, knight d5 looks hard to believe that it can be, but okay, bishop d6. Maybe here h5 is possible, but who knows? But okay, it's not an obvious move. So bishop d6 looks like logic. Unfortunately, black has no queen b6. This is the main problem of black in this position. Maybe bishop f4 was a reasonable idea, try to exchange bishops. But also very unclear what to do after rook e1, for example. Okay, so position is very complicated and very difficult to understand where Linear made mistake. But now after b3 it looks like something terrible because the white has exchange up and black has problem with his king. So Linear trying some contraplay, but nobody can support his pawn on c4 instead of bishop c7, a6. Yes, a6 is possible, of course. But what is plan? For example, rook e1. So just to play a move, it's not so difficult, but what is plan? If queen a7, for example, bishop a5 check. Maybe queen b8 was not the best. Or now maybe it was more precise to play a6, not hurry with bishop b6, not allow king g1 immediately. Maybe. Knight e4 also possible, bishop h2, if g3, rook takes e4. But okay, bishop f1 white can consider by the, but if bishop f1, also this, okay, this idea doesn't work because black king under checks, so bishop f1, so white is ready to exchange rook. a6, king g1, h5. H6, king h1. Okay, but king g1, after king g1, maybe black can also take on g3 twice. h5 may be possible as well, but okay, nobody will take on h5. So, but okay, after a6, bishop f1, in my opinion. So white wants to consolidate his pieces and play, but position is unclear. Queen b6, for example, is possible. Queen b6, bishop a5. Rook takes a1 also. Okay, maybe. White will take firstly and then bishop a5. So instead of bishop c7, yes, maybe bishop c7 was not the best, but during the game it's not so obvious to understand what to do. So now it's bad for black. c1, f5, queen c4. King is bad and knight are hanging, and white suddenly have excellent coordination. So now black just cannot defend his pawn on c2, and after losing pawn on c2, no hopes to survive. Knight c1 resigned. Okay, so f4 after queen c4, draw for black. f4 after queen c4, draw for black. But why is draw? Okay, so if knight e4, for example, why this is draw? Okay, maybe there are some chances, but Okay, so okay, with computer analysis, it's possible, but in practical game, it looks like a very dangerous position for white, and f4. It's not the move which easy to play to allow knight come to e4. So okay, Aronian won game one. So let me see second game. So in both games, it's really difficult to explain where was mistakes of losers. So it's quite it's it means that quality of these games was quite high. So e4, bishop c4, bishop e7, bishop e7. Yesterday I played bishop e7 as well against Volokitin. But after a4 I played h6. Knight a5 is another possible plan. Bishop a4, c5. So if to play knight c3, it's similar type of position as after c5, knight f3, knight c6, knight c3, e5, bishop c4, d6, d3, bishop e7. Okay, usually from today, I don't remember really stupid questions, so everything is okay. So if something is really interesting for you, you can ask. So this is more or less same time, same type of position if white plays knight c3 now. Knight c3, knight c6. Especially, for example, if I mean castle, knight f6, h3, you can image castle, and now a3. Well, very similar type of position. Yes, Magnus played. I played myself against Vishy Anand and won. I won. He played knight d2, knight f6. I played instead bishop g5. Bishop g5 was line where Garry Kasparov played h4, and after bishop h6, queen h5. It was idea of Garry to provoke g6 and come back to d1 and then push h5. But I played knight f6, after knight f1, knight d7 with idea knight b6. But okay, so there are many games from that period. So c3, knight c6, knight a3. Another plan is knight bd2, of course, and knight f1 somehow to prepare. But probably anyway, bishop e6 was planned by Levon. If knight f1, necessary to consider takes d5, and in open position, rook on a2, it can be misplaced somehow. So knight a3, bishop e6, he took on a6. Of course, other moves are possible, but somewhere black can consider idea bishop takes a2 in d5 and d5. Now takes, bishop d2. I don't know if bishop d2 is the best. More natural for me looks knight c4, by the way. This idea not allow a6 b5 plan now. If a6, white will block queen's flank with a5. So if black is not playing a6, white can play slowly something like bishop d2, b4 to prepare, or h3, bishop e3, or somewhere d4 to play. So knight c4 looks like very natural move. Bishop d2 less natural, and after a6, black is prepared for b5 after knight c4. So b4, but b4 it's double edge. black immediately starts contraplay, and coordination of white pieces not very well. For example, if to play queen b3, black has ideas like knight g4 and then rook takes f3 or bishop h4. So it's at least dangerous practical from practical reason. Probably it's not so bad after knight c2, but okay, so somewhere rook f3 and even rook f3 gf bishop g5 is idea, or somewhere knight takes f2 and bishop h4. So it's many tricks are possible. Also, instead of knight g4, knight h5 is possible. This idea rook takes f3 and knight d4. If knight c2, rook takes f3 and bishop g5 is idea. So okay, probably white can defend this after bishop e3, but okay, in practical games it's quite dangerous to play with such a weak king. So knight c2 he played, but now b5, and black fixed weak pawn on b4, and it doesn't look that white pieces are more active than black ones. So in my opinion, bishop d2 was real inaccuracy. Why not knight e3 instead of bishop e3? Well, knight e3. Here, knight e3, knight e3, knight d4 is coming. So bishop e3, it's... What was my shortest defeat? I don't remember. Against Van Hao, I lost very quickly in Hanem Philidor, I remember. So, but in general, played very bad Hanem system with black. So I lost also against Kamsky and Van Hao. Okay, so I have bad games too, so I am not exception. So Lanier played knight c2 and he took. So position is simplified, but material is equal. And yes, we are only humans, yes, that's true. And we are making mistakes. But queen b3, it's important that white has weakness on f2. So if queen g4 looks like tempting to attack e6 and b4, but black has queen a2 defense. Yes. Great Savelий Tartakover once explained that mistakes exist for do it. And he is right. So totally possible that in his calculation, some moves before, Lanier could miss queen a2 resource. It's not totally obvious. Here, now it looks like white has no chances to win anymore, because if will be quiet game, so b pawn can be dangerous for white. So, but now it's just that draw. Okay, so this Okay, Aronian played very well this match. Congratulations to him. And tomorrow will be free day. So and after I will how I will annotate a final match. How many mistakes? How many games in final? Also 2 games or 4 games, probably. Somebody knows? 2 or 4 games. I mean, classical games. Of course, I understand that if 1-1. Why I'm not playing? I played yesterday, not so successfully. Correct question would be why I'm not traveling. Okay, because of COVID problems. So I'm afraid to have contact with a lot of peoples. So, but seems very dubious. You mean with black? I played on Chess.com yesterday. Chess.com tournament. It started yesterday in 7 p.m. Ukrainian time. No, I didn't stream. So. Okay, probably I can prepare some video with my own games, but probably after I will play some tournaments more. 17th place. Okay, I share it from 12 till 18, something like this. By Berger was 17th. Okay, doesn't matter. So I earn only 2 points for general calculation of all of tournaments. Classical tournaments, I have no idea. Okay, I won't, of course, but at the moment I have no why playing the games. Okay, but while I during playing, I need to concentrate myself. So I need to think. I need to calculate a variation accurately. Yesterday it was difficult for me even without this. So in first rounds I had quite a big problem with concentration, but then I started to play better, and I hope next will be more successful for me next Saturday. Aired Things, what is this? Aired Things. Is it online? Oslo. Okay. Right at World Chat online. Yes. Okay. When? If somebody will invite me, okay, I will be happy to join. But at the moment, I didn't receive any invitation from organizers of Oslo tournament. Okay, so for today I write a book. Okay, but now it's more popular to make videos. So write a book, it's not so popular. But okay, who knows if I will have time and a special mood for such things. Yes, I like books as well. Okay, not all of fundamental rook endings. No, I didn't. Okay, I know there is excellent books about rook endgame. For example, book of Korchnoi, book of Smyslov and Levenfish, also from Averbach. Okay, one day I can prepare material also from my own practice. Buy a book. Okay, so it's not for today. Today I want to relax. I want to drink tasty tea and prepare myself for the sleeping. Yes, I have seen books of Alexander Koto, many of them, also about Alekhine. Okay, so quite he's good like writer. Okay, so goodbye and thanks for your attention and thanks for subscriptions who doing. About Silman's books, what is, I don't know what is this. Okay, bye.